And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Up first, the graphic here showing advisories, high surf advisories out here for St. Lawrence Island, Bering Strait coast, even the north coast of the Seward Peninsula, high surf advisory there, and the northwest coast, and then spreading into the western and central Arctic coast. High surf advisories all through these areas for tonight, maybe into early tomorrow due to those strong south and southwest winds gusting up to around 60 miles an hour. Satellite imagery showing the frontal boundary here associated with those strong winds. This thing much stronger up here in the northern areas than it is down to the south. Although held together enough here to bring about a quarter of an inch of rain, but wind's not a factor at all to Atka area. And let's see, Tin City and look at my notes here. Point Hope had a peak wind gust of 59 miles per hour today. And Kivalina had 58 mile an hour peak wind gusts with several inches of snow falling up there in that area. And a lot of clouds, mostly cirrus in through here, and even up along the eastern Arctic coast with the main precipitation back through here. Not all that heavy. Again, a few inches of snow falling in the Noatak Valley along the northwest coast here, and in the southern slopes of the western Brooks Range area. Dry with variable cirrus here with some sunshine over south central Alaska. Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay, Alaska Peninsula, a fair amount of sun today in the Panhandle. Not too bad. This system dropping down to the south, clearing, a little breezy, definitely chillier air coming in, especially to the northern southeast coast there. But dry conditions expected through tomorrow at least, maybe even the next day. And fair with light winds here over southern Alaska to Kodiak Island. Strong high pressure right over Kodiak. The strongest high here over the Yukon near the Dawson area, give or take there. And the tighter gradient here today, bringing the strong winds, rain, and snow up from the Seward Peninsula there, where it's raining most of the day at Nome, and kind of a mixed precipitation occurring up to the northwest there, from rain and snow mix to just plain snow. But southwest winds and southerly flow off the Brooks Range, keeping the north slope and Arctic coast dry and milder. And then the trailing edge of this front coming down toward the Pribilofs and into the central Aleutians only brought 1/100 of an inch of precipitation to St. Paul Island in the last 12 hours, and about 1/4 of an inch to Adak, as I mentioned. A little bit of a system out here to the west. We'll see advances eastward there. Not really strong, bring some rain into the western Aleutians. This part of the front stalls out, and we'll keep it occasionally damp there for Adak and Atka. Thin band of light rain extending northeastward along that frontal boundary, right up along the Yukon Delta coast into Norton Sound. Front pushes eastward and weakens, and winds diminish here for the northwest coast, to diminish significantly for St. Lawrence Island up to the Bering Strait coast. But still pretty windy here for the north slope and the Arctic coast as well, beginning to pick up the winds on the eastern Arctic coast as well as the north slope, with some snow shifting into the Kobuk, Koyukuk valleys, mainly along the southern slopes of the Brooks Range area. And just to the south, dry with mostly cloudy skies, call it for the Tanana Valley eastward there, and variably cloudy here for southern Alaska to mostly clear in some areas as high pressure holds through this area well into the Gulf of Alaska, so light winds for the North Gulf Coast there, Kodiak Island eastward. So a little breezy here over the Panhandle. We'll see for tomorrow that gradient relaxes, but the skies stay clear for the Panhandle, so that'll allow temperatures well into the 40s there in most areas, a little cooler to the north there. And dry conditions with a lot of sunshine across southern Alaska, more in the way of cloudiness in the central interior, but big improvement here on the western, or back to the or in the Chukchi Sea in the northwest coastal areas. Remnants of that front now, just that weak trough skirting the eastern Arctic coast there as high pressure holds over interior Alaska. This system down to the south beginning to increase the rain and wind a little bit for the eastern Aleutians. Another frontal boundary here keeping it wet for the Adak-Atka area, but again, wind's not much of a factor with that system at all. Then we'll see on Wednesday, this high really doesn't want to move much out of the Yukon there, or the one in the Gulf of Alaska at all, and actually strengthens a little bit. That'll tighten the gradient up for the northern Panhandle, so you see those northeast winds increase once again. But not too bad down to the south, and sunny all across the area. Mostly sunny, or mostly clear here over the eastern interior, all the way down to the North Gulf Coast into Bristol Bay again. Kodiak, another nice day coming up with light winds and mostly clear skies there. And all the way out to the coast now, dry conditions. This front staying off the coast may bring a chance of rain into St. Lawrence Island, and periods of light rain for the Pribilofs. Heavier rain and wind now with this front coming up from the south, pushing into the Fox Islands and the Alaska Peninsula, then drying out behind that. And for lows tonight, contrasted pretty markedly here from east to west, with mid-30s out over the northern Bering Sea to 5 to 10 over the eastern interior, below 0, 0 to 5 below for the Copper River Basin. Pretty mild up there on the Arctic coast, teens in the central interior and teens in mid-20s, south central Alaska tonight, and in the 20s to lower 30s for the southeast coast. Highs for tomorrow, mid to upper 30s for the northern Panhandle, Juneau up to about Skagway, Haines, and upper 40s down to the south, and in the 20s here for the eastern interior, and mid to upper 30s for the central and western Arctic coast there. In fact, the entire Arctic coast, portions of the North Slope pushing above freezing tomorrow. Upper 30s, St. Lawrence Island and the Seward Peninsula area, as well as the southwest interior here. And lower 40s, Bristol Bay, and 40s for the Aleutians, followed by lows cooling off a little bit here back to the west here as you lose some clouds and it dries out a little bit into the 20s there, but still milder along the coast there. 35 St. Lawrence Island down to Macoriac, 41 for the St. Paul Island area, St. George. Teens, single numbers in teens, central eastern interior, back down below freezing now, at least for the Arctic coast, and in the 20s to mid-30s for the Panhandle. Highs on Wednesday afternoon, 40s over the southeast coast. Some areas in the south there could push 50 degrees. Upper 40s Kodiak Island, and upper 30s to mid-40s south central Alaska. Upper 20s Copper River Basin, and 20s to lower 30s central interior. A little chillier there in the Brooks Range, and the highs now back below freezing for the Arctic coast. And out here to the southwest, look for some lower 50s there. Cold Bay, Nelson Lagoon, Falls Pass into Unalaska. Upper 40s for the remainder of the Aleutians.